started. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of warm up first, as we usually do. Okay, so still marching, just maybe marching the spot first. Okay, so still try to stay taller, but relax through the shoulders and chest. Okay, also a little bit of the spine as well. Okay, so almost do a little bit of an exaggerated walking motion. Okay, so in this class, we're still trying to kind of open the shoulders, open the hips, okay, while stabilizing through the trunk area. Okay, so let's just kind of breathe out, breathe in. Okay, just a general warm up first. Okay, so breathing out, rounding and slouching a little bit, breathing in, opening for the chest, arching our backs. Okay, side to side. Okay, open up even more. Pull your shoulders back a little bit. Looking side to side. Okay, do the teapot motion. So fingers dangling onto one side, neck going the same way. Just repeat on the other side. Okay, and hands out. So let's just try to side shift a little bit. So this one might be easy if you stop your feet. Okay, so rotating through the entire arm, try to stretch out both sides. Shoulders might be a little tight by now, so let's just do a couple of times. Okay, and let's just shake it up. So a couple of shoulder rolls. Okay, and let's open and close a little bit. Okay, let's go front to back. Let's go underneath first. Okay, so we're internally rotating the shoulders. Let's see if you can press the back of your hand into your pelvis while pulling your shoulders back. Just contracting and relaxing. Okay, we're going to do the opposite side. Okay, so trying to externally rotate. Okay, so imagine there's a plate on your hands. Okay, but and you have to hand it to someone behind you. Okay, so you're trying to reach backwards with the fingers while pointing your elbows forward. Okay, so see if you can contract and relax again. Okay, but try to do it without arching your back. Okay, so move through the shoulders a little bit more. Just feel the back of your shoulders kind of tensing up. Be careful about cramping. Okay, try to open the hands as well. So just contract and relax. And let's do maybe 2 to 3 more times. Okay, so let's open up the shoulders a little bit more. Okay, so this one will be, I think you will need a wall. Okay, so you could just going to have your palm. You can have your palm on the wall. You can have your palms up even. Okay, and you're just going to turn away from that arm. Okay, so my chest is facing forward. My fingers are kind of facing backwards. Okay, so feel a stretch kind of on the front side of the arm of the chest. Okay, and we're also going to just contract and relax, so you can lightly exert a little more pressure. Okay, so without going into pain. Okay, and you can just kind of pull and relax, pull and relax. Okay, just for let's try to do it for maybe about 10 seconds, 10 seconds more. Okay, and let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so once again, kind of either palm on a wall or any sturdy structure, or your palms up. Okay, and you're trying to turn away from that side. So my chest is facing this way now. my fingers are facing kind of towards my back. Okay, and you once again contract and relax. So you just kind of open the chest a little bit more and relax. Okay, so about 10 seconds more. And coming back out a little bit. Okay, so let's work on the shoulder extension a little bit. So this one, you can continue to either use a wall, so you can kind of have your hands up, or you can use a chair. Same idea, as something that can kind of just anchor your hands there. Okay, we're going to work on the hips. Actually, let's work on the hips first. Okay, so we're going to be pushing our hips back. Okay, the hinging motion. Okay, and once again, see if you can maintain stability through the trunk. Okay, so your trunk doesn't move. Okay, but try to open up through the shoulders and open up through the hips. Okay, including the back of the thighs. Okay, so actually, let's do it this way first. So thumbs on any of your lower ribs. Okay, and then the other fingers in front of your belly. Okay, if you start to slouch or extend, you start to feel movement underneath your fingers. Okay, see if you can feel minimize the movement of your trunk. Okay, so nothing really moves too much underneath. Okay, but you're moving through the pelvis. Maybe a little bit of knee if your hips are very tight. So let's just practice that a couple of times. So try to push your pelvis back. Okay, try to push your head in the opposite direction. Lengthen the spine from your tailbone to the top of the head. Okay, and you're just moving through the hips. Maybe about 5 times. Okay, for the very last one, you can just kind of hold it there. I should ask you to turn the chair around. Okay, see if you can just extend one knee. So try to push one pelvis a little further back, and you should feel a little more stretch in that area or on that side. Okay, still maintain that longer spine. Yes, you just try to open up the hips, the back side of the hips, and the leg a little bit more. Okay, if you feel comfortable, you can try to do both together. That's just a little bit harder, a little more effort in the front of the thighs. You can apply gentle pressure through the hands. Okay, but remember that you're not slouching, still keep the spine long. Okay, you can just apply just gentle pressure to open up the back of the thighs. Okay, and let's slowly come back up a little bit, maybe move a little bit, just to stabilize our blood pressure again. Okay, and now we're gonna do something similar, but we're gonna try to open up the shoulders. Okay, so this one, maybe 2 chairs might be a little bit more comfortable. Or you can use one if it's wide enough, or you're flexible enough. Okay, but you can have your chair either flip it around or just maintain here as well. Okay, I'm gonna flip it around just to have more room. Okay, but you're gonna walk yourself back a little bit, okay, and you're just going to, same idea, you're still hinging for the hips, okay, so you're still bending from the hips, okay, but you try to open up the shoulders and its chest a little bit more. Okay, so you can do the same thing on the wall, so you can have it a little bit higher up if you don't feel comfortable bending too far down. I'm just doing it on a chair just because it's easier to show on camera. Okay, but you can do the same thing on a wall. Okay, just anything that can anchor your hands there. Okay, but you're just trying to almost drop your chest down, almost try to arch your back a little bit. Okay, so arching will be opposite of slouching. So this will be slouching where your back is kind of pointing up. Okay, so you can do the opposite almost. Okay, so you feel maybe a little bit of some sensation in the mid-back area, maybe at the back of the leg as well. Okay, and we're just gonna stay here for a second. Okay, when you're ready, see if you can almost imagine pushing your hands that way. Okay, and dropping the chest a little bit lower. Okay, if you have any pain in the shoulders, kind of widen the hands or make it more narrow. Find an angle that doesn't cause pain. Okay, if it still does, just back off in the area. You can even just do one hand at a time. Okay, but I'm trying to push my hands that way while driving my hips backwards, and I'm dropping my chest towards the floor. Okay, and I can feel a little bit of effort, a little bit of contraction in my mid-back area. Okay, I'm just kind of contracting and relaxing. So I'm separating my fingers from my tailbone. Okay, and let's slowly come back. Okay, shaking things off a little bit first until we feel okay. Okay, so let's try to bring that into standing. Okay, so without the support of the chair. But let's give the shoulders a rest first. Let's stretch the front of the hips first a little bit first before we do the shoulders. Okay, so let's have the legs front to back. Okay, just the same. If you've been to other class, the same stretch. Okay, so the belt buckle pulled up that way, forward and up. The heel going opposite direction. Okay, down and back. Okay, so pulling the hips open from the front. Okay, so turning this way and then back. Using our legs to pull it open from the other direction. Okay, so just try to contract and relax again. Okay, widen or make your stance more narrow, depending on how you feel. Okay, so I'm actually even trying to squeeze my butt muscle here to pull my hips open, okay, but not allowing my pelvis, not allowing my back to change. Okay, so I'm just trying to pull my hips open from the front. Okay, and let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so same idea. Lift the front of your pelvis up, or you can think of pulling your tailbone towards the ground. Okay, imagine driving the heel, the back heel, back and down towards the ground. Okay, try to squeeze your hip muscles, your butt muscles to open at the hips. Okay, just trying to contract. Okay, so separate the hips. And then relax, contract and relax. Okay, so apply just a little bit of effort. Okay, and then coming. Okay, so let's go back to the shoulders. Okay, so just find a neutral stance first. Okay, so stay tall. Okay, so kind of be mind, you can even do it one side at a time. Okay, just as you lift your arms up, see if you can keep your almost your ribs from rising up. Okay, try to open up from the shoulders. Okay, so you can even kind of maybe breathe out as you lift the arms up. Okay, so as you breathe out, we naturally tend to go this way a little bit. Or you can, if you can feel it, contract your abdominal muscles a little bit. Okay, while bringing both arms up. Okay, so okay, and breathing in. Okay, and breathing out. Okay, breathing in, coming back down. Okay, so try to open the shoulders. Okay, without doing this so much. So try to get your hand to almost cover your ear. Okay, so use your shoulder muscles, use your back muscles. Okay, so once again, breath in. Okay, breathing out. Okay, let's do about 5 times. Okay, so I'm once again a little bit opposite breathing a little bit. So breathing out, try to get my arm to cover my ear, thumbs facing back. A little bit of effort in the shoulders, a little bit in the mid back area. Okay, let's do it 2 more times. Okay, let's do it 1 last time. Okay, and relaxing a little bit. So if your shoulders is tight, we try to compensate through the spine. Same with the hips. Okay, with our hips don't move and when you bend down, we compensate with our spine. Okay, so ideally, our hips, our shoulders is mobile enough. Okay, so that we can maintain a good structure through the trunk. Okay, especially when we're doing something a little bit heavier. Okay, so let's go on to the grounded movements. So you probably need maybe a towel to either support your back, okay, or if you're really more rounded, you might need something to support your head as well. Okay, so maybe grab those first. Okay, so I'm gonna use one towel to support my low back. Okay, but you can grab as many towels as you need. Okay, so you move up and down, see if you can still maintain, be more conscious of what your spine is doing. So once again, when we move in a daily life, feel free to bend, twist, things like that. But for this class, see if you can just be more conscious of what your back is doing. So try to move through the hips a little bit more. Okay, less through the spine just for this class. Okay, so let's go back to our kind of a neutral resting position. Okay, so that is just, you can start off from going onto your tummy first, okay, and then onto our backs. Okay, so even as you roll, see if you can just be more conscious as to what your backs are doing. Okay, see if you can move your hips and your shoulders kind of at the same time. Okay, or at least just be more conscious of if it's bending or not, or twisting or not. So hopefully I'm still in frame. Okay, I think I am. And then just a little bit of towel underneath our low back to support it. Okay, just also give us something to push against. Okay, so we're going to start off with just the palms up and knees bent position. Okay, so kind of pay attention to how much space is or how much pressure there is on your back and your low back against the towel. Okay, just take a couple of deep breaths just so we can get used to the position a little bit first. Okay, if you've been to the other breathing classes, you can practice that deep breathing. Okay, so now let's make it W with our arms this time. Okay, so we're going to have the elbows pointing towards the hips, your hands pointing up towards the ceiling. Okay, so when you do this, be careful that you're not overarching. If you're a little tight, your hands might even kind of hover above the ground. Okay, so in this case, you can bring your arms either a little high up, or you can have something supporting your hand and your wrist. Okay, so I'm going to stay here for a little bit. Okay, for some of us, we might feel a stretch already. Okay, try to apply a gentle pressure against the towel, so your low back, keep it kind of a little bit pressed down. Okay, don't let our back overarch. Okay, and now we're just going to try to keep the hand on the floor as we reach up. Yep. Lower my camera. Okay, so let me see if I can change the angle a little bit. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, just a lot of wires to dangle, so give me 1 second. me see. Maybe I should just put it on the floor even. Okay, let me see if I just let me test it. Okay, so that might be a little better. It might be a bit harder to see on our side, but hopefully you can see from one side. Okay, so we can try this out, see if this works. Is it much better? Okay, no, that's great. Okay, so what we don't want is that as the hands goes up, we don't want to compensate for the back, so we're tight for the shoulders. You can sometimes we compensate for the spine. Okay, so see if you can get your low back just to back to that neutral curve. Okay, so there should still be space underneath. Okay, so just the kind of the width of the towel. Okay, and then see if we can just get our hands a little bit closer through the ground. Okay, apply gentle pressure onto the towel. Okay, so maintain that curve. Okay, and if you feel comfortable, if you still can, see if you can just glide your hands upwards. Okay, and just go as far as you feel comfortable, and then coming back. Okay, at any point, if you feel like you need to stop because you're cramping up or it's painful, feel free to stop any point. Okay, but see if you can kind of reach up. I guess you can call it overhead, not towards the ceiling because we're lying down, but over our heads. Okay, while maintaining that gentle pressure on the spine. Okay, some of us might be a little more tight, okay, and your hands might hover like this. Ideally, you have something supporting so that you can still be relatively relaxed, okay, instead of trying to lift the arms up. Okay, but kind of go by what we have, or okay, you can even just maybe not go as high up. Okay, but try to maintain that gentle pressure on the spine as you try to reach overhead, and then try to keep the arms from lifting too high up. Okay, so make slight efforts to keep it on the floor. Okay, and you can just kind of go back and forth. You might feel a little bit of effort, a little bit of tension in your mid back as well. Okay, and feel pretty relaxed in between. Okay, so usually we are a little bit almost too tight or too curved in the upper back, and we compensate using our lower backs. Okay, so when we try to stabilize our low backs by lightly pressing down, your upper back has to extend or straighten out in order to keep everything from like lifting up, or for your shoulders from going upwards. Okay, so sometimes we move when we through the areas that we don't want to move, which is usually the low back, and we don't move enough through certain areas, which is usually the kind of the upper back area. Okay, so let's give the shoulders a rest. Let's do the same thing, okay, but with our legs. Okay, so starting off simple. I think I'll still be in frame. Okay, you need to slide up a little bit. Okay, but gentle pressure through the mid back down to the floor again. And you're just trying to drive the heel out. Okay, once again, if you're tight for the hips, the leg might kind of drag, so almost drag your trunk this way. Okay, so you probably feel more curve in the back. Okay, see if you can maintain that gentle pressure again into the towel. Okay, as you try to straighten out the leg. Okay, and almost try to lightly press the heel into the ground. Okay, so as you feel the back of the leg engaging, the hip, your butt muscles kind of tightening a little bit. Okay, and you can kind of alternate between the two. Okay, so it's driving the heel. We call this underneath us, I guess. Okay, and then down towards the floor a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to do almost the same thing, but a little bit harder. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to bring one leg up. Okay, so you can either hug the front of the knees or behind the knees. Okay, what we're trying to do is we're trying to separate the two legs as well. Okay, so usually our legs, because we sit a lot and because we tend to move them together almost, they kind of get stuck together almost. Okay, so we're going to anchor one leg down, kind of pull, almost pulling it into our body. You can still use your abdominal muscles to apply a little bit of pressure onto the towel underneath us. Okay, and you're going to try to do the exact same thing as before. Okay, try to straight out our leg and pressing down towards the floor. So just trying to separate the two legs a little bit. Okay, so if you're really tight, sometimes you have trouble not moving the outer leg or moving the pelvis. Okay, so just a little bit of straightening, maybe 3 to 5 times. Okay, so this is a little bit more passive because our arms are helping. We're going to do one where we try to use more of our trunk muscles to do the same thing. Okay, but let's repeat on the other side first. Okay, so kind of anchor our leg down. Okay, so once again, other front to the knees or behind. Okay, we'll keep that light pressure on the towel underneath our low backs. Okay, and try to straighten out the outer leg. Okay, and lightly press it towards the floor. Okay, without moving our pelvis or moving our low backs. Okay, you even just kind of hang, or you can even just hang out here. And just maybe contract and relax. Okay, be careful that you don't start to lift your upper chest as well. So you know if you start to arch your neck. Okay, so nothing moves except your pelvis. Okay, coming back down. Second. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, just in opposite direction. Okay, so I'm going to have the hands out, okay, and then try to straighten out both legs. Okay, but once again, without overarching the back. Okay, so still a little bit of light pressure on the towel. You can adjust the width of the towel to a comfortable level. Okay, so you can use your legs to help. So you can lightly drive the heels towards the ground. Okay, but now we're going to try to lift one leg up. Okay, while keeping kind of both legs straight. Okay, and then slowly lower. Okay, so the bottom leg is kind of driving in the ground a little bit. Your abdominal muscles have to work out a little bit so that you're not overarching the back. Okay, let's do about 5 to maybe 5 times per side. Let's see if you can keep both legs straight. Okay, while trying to lift the leg up. Okay, so feel the efforts in the front of the thighs, a little bit of a stretch in the back of the leg. You can use the hands to anchor yourself down a little bit more if you need to. Okay, relax in between. You can go back to this position, the advanced knee, probably the more comfortable position. Okay, but when you're ready, let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so kind of once again, both legs straight. Okay, be mindful of what your back is doing. For me, I have a tendency to do this. My front of the hips is still a little tight. So I have to work a little bit using my abdominal muscles to apply a little bit of pressure onto the towel. Okay, pull your toes towards your knees or your hips. Both legs straight. And we're just trying to keep the bottom leg anchored on the floor. Maybe lightly pressing downwards. Okay, while you lift the other leg up. Okay, feel that maybe a little bit of stretch behind your thighs. Keep your trunk from moving. Okay, just a couple of times. Okay, feel free to stretch and move it a little bit in between, just so that you're not too tense. Okay, so let's do, we kind of did this one before, it's a dead bug one. Okay, so you're gonna lift one leg up and the other leg up. Okay, your goal is to maintain that gentle pressure onto the towel. Okay, as you kind of let one leg then go towards the floor. So try to be able to move our leg, okay, without moving our spine. Okay, so you can have your hands on the floor. You can also have your hands up, okay, but pay attention to what your abdominal muscles are doing, your trunk muscles doing. Okay, so use your towel to give you feedback to know if it's moving or not. Okay, if you feel your back leaving the towel, okay, your back is moving, your pelvis is moving. Okay, so don't necessarily do it fast. Okay, just slightly tap the floor and come back. Okay, if you want, see if you can reach a little further out. Okay, but stabilize your trunk muscles. Okay, so nothing moves except that one leg and that one hip. Okay, so it's the same as before, but before we are using our hands to help us, this time we have to rely on just our trunk muscles, our leg muscles. Okay, even your back, low back might be a little tense. Usually we kind of our muscles engage all the way around. Okay, maybe one or two more times per side. So the lower abdominal area might feel a little sore, a little tight by now. The front of the hips might also be probably pretty tight. Okay, and one at a time. Okay, take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Okay, and feel free to switch position or get out of this position at any point. Okay, I'm actually going to quickly check the time, so I know. Okay, so we're still 140, about 140 right now. Okay, so let's work on the extensors muscles now. Okay, so we actually roll around towards to our belly area. So relying on the belly this time. Okay, so this one, you don't need a towel underneath your back, okay, but it might be more comfortable if you have something either on your foot to support your head or your forehead, okay, or just your face in general. Okay, but let's spend a little bit more time going through extension. So the beginning, just you can kind of hang around here a little bit. Okay, just getting used to it. Okay, when you feel comfortable, you can try to extend through the back. Okay, so going on to our elbows. Okay, see if you can also lightly not have your shoulders kind of shrugged up like this. Okay, see if you can get your shoulders more or less more away from your ears. Okay, you might feel a little bit of stretch in the abdominal area. Okay, if this causes you pain in your back, just don't go, just stop it. Don't go too far. Okay, and just take a couple of breaths here. there's actually also a good way to learn to kind of breathe into a diaphragm as well. Okay, because our back is already kind of extended, our chest is already kind of up. You can't really breathe more into your chest. Okay, when you breathe in, you should feel your belly expanding. It's very difficult to do the opposite while we're in this position. Okay, you don't have to go as far, you can just kind of go here as well. But try to think of extending it back a little bit more. Okay, so now let's work on the head press, the shoulder, and the extension. Okay, but before we do that, let's see if we can almost squeeze your kind of your bum muscles. So we call this a pelvic press. So you can try to press your front of your pelvis into the ground. Okay, you can actually put a towel underneath if that makes it easy for you to press it towards the floor. Some people might just use their hands. Okay, but it makes it harder to support your trunk with your hands as well. Okay, so you can either place more towels underneath your pelvis. So it might look something like. So it's just a two bony area around that level. Okay, and you can just think of trying to press your pelvis into the area. And then you can kind of support your head with your hands, support your forehead. Okay, so anytime we lift up, stabilize through the pelvis first, which just means pressing it towards the floor. Okay, so a gentle pressure into the towel. Okay, so first one, we're going to do the head press. Okay, so while looking down on the floor, you're just trying to lift the head up. Okay, but without looking upwards. Okay, so you're trying to get your ears on the same level as your shoulders or your spine. Okay, so we're going to hold here for 3, 2, 1. Okay, you can relax in between. Okay, so we're just going to do 3, 5, and 7. Okay, so perfect press onto the towel. Push your head back. Okay, without looking up. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax in between. Okay, last time for 7 seconds. Perfect press. Head press. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, relax in between. Okay, so next one a little bit harder. You have the hands kind of just roughly off to the side. So once again, you might want to have a towel around your forehead, so just to help support it a little bit. Okay, but we're going to do the head press. Okay, so pressing the head up towards the ceiling. Okay, without looking kind of upwards or forward. Okay, you can try to pull your shoulders apart, lifting your elbows off the floor, your hands off the floor. Okay, holding for 3, 2, 1. Okay, don't forget the perfect press. Okay, in between want to support your head, forehead of your arms. Okay, let's do for 5 seconds this time. Okay, so perfect press. Okay, head hovering on above the floor. Okay, let's try to squeeze the shoulder blades back. Okay, we're working against our own weight. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax in between. I should probably put my microphone off to the side so I don't keep hitting it against the floor. Okay, so one last time. Hover the head. Sorry, pelvic press first. Hover the head. Okay, hover the elbows. Pull your shoulder blades back. Holding for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're doing this for one last time. Okay, so perfect press. Hover the head. Okay, open up. Shoulders. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, once again, you probably get in and out of this position just to so that we're not too tense. Around a little bit. It's not a bad practice to be able to move kind of freely from our backs onto our chest. So I'm kind of using my feet to push myself as I roll from my back to my chest. Okay, so this one, we're gonna do more the shoulders now. Okay, so this one probably more comfortable if you have the towel back to the forehead level. At least it's more comfortable for me. Hopefully the microphone is still picking up my voice. Okay, so for this one, just going to be reaching overhead first. Okay, so let's spend a little more time here. Okay, so this time we're kind of fighting against gravity. Okay, so we're going to start out with the perfect press again. So we're going to do one arm at a time. Okay, so we're going to try to reach towards the top of the head with my fingertip. Okay, and your arms should naturally almost lift up a little bit. Okay, we're going to hold for 3, 2, 1. Okay, relaxing the hands. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on our side. Okay, so we're going to think of reaching as far kind of towards the top of the head. Okay, your hands should kind of, your shoulders, your elbows should naturally kind of lift off the floor a little bit. Okay, holding for 3, 2, 1. Coming back. Okay, if you feel comfortable, try to do it both sides at the same time. So you're trying to reach towards the top of the head. So if you might be your mid-back muscles engaging, shoulder area engaging. 3, 2, 1. Coming back. Okay, so maybe more comfortable without my glasses in the way. Okay, once again, move around as you need to. Okay, let's try to do it for kind of anywhere. Let's try to 3 to 5 seconds this time. Okay, so if it's too much, just stay doing 3 seconds. Okay, if you can, try to hold it for 5 seconds this time. Okay, so let's just do one at a time again. Okay, so this time, try to see if you can lift the arm up a little bit off the floor. Okay, but still think of reaching towards the top of the head. Okay, so starting off with one side. Okay, reaching towards the top of the head. Lifting off the ground a little bit as well. Thumb facing towards the ceiling. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, relax in between. Okay, and then we're going to change sides to the other arm. Okay, so same idea, reaching towards the top of the head, lifting off the floor a little bit, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, relaxing in between. Okay, last time, both arms together if you feel comfortable. Okay, when you lift both sides, remember the pelvic press first, so stabilize with the pelvis first. Okay, push the pelvis into the ground. Okay, reach out both arms, lifting off the floor a little bit if you feel comfortable. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep coming back. Okay, so it's something new, so let's not overdo it. So slowly we get out of this position. Okay, and let's slowly go back to the standing position now. Okay, so you can take your time. Okay, so either roll on to my hands and knees. And take a time to get back up to standing. Okay, so while everyone is doing that, I'm just going to move my camera back up. Okay, so kind of, you should feel your back might be a little stiff, okay, because we really work on extension a lot more. Okay, so you can work on just rounding and extending a few times just so that we're not stuck in that position. You can rotate, if you can rotate it, probably a little bit less tense as well. Okay, so before we stop, let's just kind of try the standing lifting again. Okay, so ideally we might take a picture before and after, or just pay attention to how we feel. Okay, but once again, going back to that top posture. Okay, we're still trying to keep our trunk stable. Okay, and we're just trying to lift overhead. Okay, hopefully it feels a little bit easier than before. Okay, so see if you get your hands more aligned with your ears, okay, without overarching. Okay, so we're still trying to stabilize for the front of the trunk, okay, as we but open up for the shoulders. Okay, so let's do about 3 to 5 times. Okay, so kind of breathing in as you reach up from facing back. Okay, breathing out as you come back. This from the front. Okay, breathing in. Okay, once again, still pay attention to what your spine is doing. Okay, ideally you don't feel much movement here, and then you're only moving through the shoulders. Okay, let's do 2 more times. Breathing in. Okay, you can also do the same thing. Like usually we do it on the ground because the floor gives us a little bit of feedback. You can also do the same thing with almost like a wall. So you can put something underneath your low back. Okay, so you know you're not moving your spine or not. But as you breathe in, pushing up. Okay, you can use that as a ruler to see how far your hands are. So ideally, we should be able to move our hands up and down, okay, without having to arch it up using our back to compensate. Okay, so I can feel I'm still a little tight right now. I should probably work on this a little bit more. Okay, so let's go back to sitting, okay, just so that we can relax our backs a little bit. Okay, so let's spend just a little more time in the opposite direction. So any position you spend too long in is probably not, can cause stiffness and things like that. Okay, so see if you can almost try to go towards rest on your thighs, your knees, or like a table or something like that. Okay, and let's just take a couple of breaths here. Okay, slowly coming back out. We're going to do like a cat and cow as well. So you can flip the chair around, or your table, okay, so that you can kind of rest your hands on the chair again. Okay, in that hinge position. Okay, so this time we're going to just go between kind of rounding it back, okay, and then extending the back. Okay, you can think of that as kind of looking towards your pelvis. Okay, and then looking away from the pelvis. Okay, so that we're not stuck in one position. Okay, you can also pay attention to which part of your trunk is moving. If there's something watching, you can sometimes tell if someone is more mobile in a certain area compared to others. Okay, and the most mobile area is actually sometimes the one that gets hurt. Okay, because you can think of if nothing moves around, okay, except one joint, that one joint is doing all the work. So sometimes that can lead to problems. Okay, so lastly, just shake things out. So just a gentle rotation. Relax with the shoulders. Okay, and that's it for today. So thank you for coming. I'm glad my camera didn't freeze up today. See everyone maybe next time. Bye. Bye-bye.